Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Melanin Militant, episode 12, Mansa Musa, the richest man who ever lived. First off, I want to say please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And once the video is over, share this video anywhere you can. Appreciate all of you who continuously share, like, and repost all of my posts on social media. One thing that I'm going to start doing from now on is I'm going to try to be more conscious about wearing Black-owned brands while I make my videos. So before I get into the episode, just wanted to let you know what I have on today. This is from the Support Black Colleges brand based out of Atlanta, Georgia. They have lots of apparel with different HBCUs logos on all of their apparel. So this is their Tuskegee University top from the HBCU long sleeve collection. I'm not getting paid for this. I paid for this shirt with my own money, but it's a dope brand. I'll put the link to their website in the description down below. Now, on episode 11, I said all month I'm going to do topics that are Black history related. And this episode is about Mansa Musa, who was the former ruler of the Mali Empire. So the reason I believe it's so important to do episodes about people like him is because it's important for Black people in America to know what we once were on this land in comparison to what we are now. I've said before, there aren't too many good representations of Black people in the various forms of media, and particularly for the youth, I want them to see exactly what we are instead of these other representations of us that they might be exposed to. And I don't just say that because it sounds good. I stand by that and I live by that. So much so that I actually bought this book for my little brother called Black History Kids Edition. And it just goes through the great kings and queens of Africa. So people like Nefertiti, Mansa Musa, the Queen of Sheba, Shaka Zulu, King Tut, just for him to be exposed to the different types of people that look like him that were once on this earth. So I got this book off of Amazon. I think it was like $9 or $10. It's a great book for somebody his age because he's 11 right now. So that's the point in his life when he's going to start to remember those names like Cleopatra, Nefertiti, Martin Luther King, Thurgood Marshall. So I just want to instill in him these positive depictions of Black people in his mind. So with all that said, let's get into the episode. Born in the 1280s, Mansa Musa was the former ruler of the Mali Empire. He had an estimated net worth of $400 billion, which is 3 times more than Bill Gates and almost 4 times more than Amazon's Jeff Bezos. He came into rule in 1312 when his predecessor, who was also his uncle, Mansa Musa II, embarked on the customary journey across the Sahara Desert to Mecca. Now, it was law that the sitting emperor take this journey across the Sahara to Mecca to reinforce their faith in the Muslim religion. But Mansa Musa was believed to have gotten lost in the Atlantic Ocean after his trip to Mecca because he wanted to explore the Atlantic Ocean and find out just exactly what the Atlantic Ocean's limits were. So when he was never seen or heard from again, Mansa Musa then took the throne. When he took his trip across the Sahara to Mecca, he had thousands of people with him and over 60,000 animals on this caravan during his journey. And during the journey, he gave away tons of gold to the poor. He gave away so much gold, actually, that over the course of 12 years, that gold had depreciated in value. So that gives you more perspective of just how much wealth that Mansa Musa had. During his reign, Mansa Musa was determined to make Mali the greatest empire that anyone had ever seen in Africa. And at that time, Europe was in ruins and dealing with the plague that was lying in wait. So most of Africa was flourishing at this time, but that wasn't enough for Mansa Musa. He wanted much more. There were 24 countries that made up the entire empire, and it occupied most of Western Africa, including Timbuktu, which was home to the most prestigious and renowned school in all of the world at that point in time. And this is so extremely important, this piece of information right here, because it just explains to you what Africa once was. Because how many times have we all seen the same depiction of Africa of, starving children with flies on their faces and they're living in the slums. So this just goes to show that that's not what Africa always was, nor is it an accurate depiction of what Africa is right now. The main source of Mansa Musa's wealth came from the trading of Mali's natural resources in the country, like precious stones and gold and salt, and they were exported throughout the continent. And he actually conquered major cities that had major ports, which allowed him to use those ports that ran between Africa and the Mediterranean Sea. And it's said that with that wealth, he built a mosque every Friday to spread his beliefs, because he was a very pious man. Now, Mansa Musa was in reign for a very long time, 25 years before his death, and then until the Portuguese and French then seized control of Mali, much like many other African countries and empires, and most empires all throughout history, they eventually fall. And Mali never seemed to regain that level of prosperity again, unfortunately. But again, to stress the fact that it's so important to tell these stories and to learn these stories is because there's not too much good representation of us, and the ones that are good need to be perpetuated and need to be exposed to us and to the youth. I mean, you know, like I watch a lot of The Breakfast Club, and on there, Charlemagne will often say when there's an actor or a filmmaker or producer or something like that, if there's somebody like that on the show, he'll always say, you know, I'm tired of slave movies. You know, we've seen that story, and I tend to agree, because I mean, yeah, movies like Birth of a Nation and 12 Years a Slave and even Lee Daniels' The Butler were great films, but we know the stories of the struggle and, you know, oppression and the slave trade. We know that so much, but you don't see these white Hollywood executives greenlighting a movie, you know, like on somebody like Mansa Musa or Nefertiti. We don't see those movies coming out of these, you know, these big production companies. That's what I would like to start seeing, is movies like this of when we were in rule, because we were. And that's the other part of why it's so important, because it is the goal of white supremacists to take our history and erase it and then replace themselves with it. So the images and stories and depictions of us that are out there that are positive have to be told, especially to the youth. And it's just extremely important for us to make sure that this history gets out. And, you know, I can't even think of the last time I saw something that positive for us. I mean, if I really go back, the last real positive, you know, image of black people in ancient time was possibly Prince of Egypt, the animated movie from Disney Pixar, which was God knows how many years ago. So again, I just want to make sure that people are knowing this history and finding out exactly what black people once were when they walked this earth thousands of years ago. And in that way, we have something to strive for, something to look forward to. We have something that we can look at as a goal for us to obtain, and a level of prosperity for us to obtain in the future. And I just think this is one of the many stories that's extremely important in the history of black people on the earth. So with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was as educational as can be. I hope you all learned something, because I definitely learned something just from doing the research for this episode. Down below in the description will be the link to the Support Black Colleges brand website, where you can get your own apparel, a lot of dope stuff. So please check that out. And again, I was not paid for that or to wear this shirt. Again, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you all got the main message from this video, which is that if we don't know ourselves, then we can never empower ourselves. Thanks for watching.